All right, good morning, guys. You guys should just finish up your do not question for the day. In your own words, explain what the term ignorance means and provide examples. So, this may have been something we might have touched on way earlier in the course. This may be something you've heard me discuss in previous classes, or maybe some of you guys have your own ideas of what this word means. I've heard all sorts of things over the course of 5 years of teaching. The term ignorance. A lot of people get it mixed up with a lot of different meanings, depending on the context, but in its just, strictest sense of the word's definition, the term ignorance simply means to not know. Now, so if you are ignorant of something, that simply just means you don't know it. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean, you're foolish. It doesn't mean you're, I've heard some people say, racist or, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It simply means to not know. So, for example, I am completely ignorant when it comes to playing the flute. I have absolutely no idea how to play the flute. And that's not a bad thing. There's lots of things I don't know. Just like I guarantee there's lots of things you don't know. And so you can proudly, not proudly say it, but you can confidently say, hey, I am just ignorant of this. There's nothing wrong with that because everybody is about something. So whatever you guys have, make sure it's about 45 sentences and make sure you get it jotted down. So thus far in the unit, we've talked about different types of learning. We talked about some famous psychologists attributed to learning. Last class, we talked about problem solving when it comes to learning. Now today, we're going to discuss, things that tend to get in the way of this process, things that tend to maybe muddy the waters a little bit, or makes it difficult to learn things, or maybe to learn correct things. When I say correct things, I don't mean things that a correct opinion or something like that. I mean correct based on, factual. I guess that's a better way of putting it. It's factual, meaning it is as opposed to it is not. So hopefully we'll get some more clarity on what that means here in just a minute. So first thing we're going to discuss is something called bias. So chances are you guys have heard this word, and hopefully most of you guys are familiar with what it means, but we're just going to touch on it briefly. So the term bias, prejudicial patterns of thinking that can lead to inaccurate or unreasonable conclusions. So once again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something to recognize about ourselves. Everybody has a certain bias when it comes to different topics, different subjects, whatever it may be. So, for example, I have a certain bias. If somebody's sitting there discussing, hey, do you think teachers should get paid more or get paid less? Well, it's kind of difficult for me to sit on that conversation because me as a teacher, I have a natural inclination to want to look out for myself and better myself. And my first thought is, heck yeah, I think teachers should get a raise. Awesome. Well, why is that? Well, it helps because I'm a teacher, so that would directly affect me. Where if somebody said, hey, I really think dentists should get paid more money, I wouldn't have as big of a bias, or it wouldn't affect me as much because, nothing happens to me either way. And so because of that, I can have a much more neutral opinion. So I can base it off of, here's the information, here's the evidence, I can base my opinion based off that, as opposed to, well, hey, if I say that teachers should get a raise, that means, hey, I'm going to benefit from it. Or if I don't, hey, I'm not going to benefit from it. So once again, prejudicial patterns of thinking that can lead to inaccurate or unreasonable conclusions. So if I just simply base my argument off of that, hey, teachers deserve a raise based on my own bias, maybe in the grand scheme of things, that would actually hurt things, or that would not help me. But because, I had that bias, I didn't really take that into consideration. I didn't think about that because I was more focused on how it would benefit me. So, bias. Next up, it's always a fun one, something called base rate fallacy. The tendency to ignore information about general principles in favor of very specific or vivid information. So this is kind of a mouthful, but hopefully this is all going to become really easy, really fast. So the easiest way to think of this is kind of think of a commercial. Let's say a toothpaste commercial. They always say something along the lines of, hey, use this toothpaste. It has this, this, and this. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend it, so on and so forth. Even to the extent where they'll have say one toothpaste. They'll say like Colgate. Colgate over here, and then they got, what's another one? Trident. There we go. We got Colgate and we got Trident. It's a Colgate commercial. They're going to be like, well, here's the two comparison. Well, guess what? Well, Colgate has this, this, and this. It makes your teeth sparkle. It keeps them super white. It has plaque fighting power. Fights gingivitis. All this stuff. And then, this one's nice too. and then they just move on. So going back to what we just said here a second ago, a tendency to ignore information about general principles. So you're not like saying anything that's not truthful, when you're saying, oh, this one's good as well. You're just not, you're not really bringing that up in the conversation. So you're kind of ignoring, okay, what is good about this as well. You're not saying it's bad, but you're just kind of just letting it brush off to the side. In favor of very specific or vivid info. Notice the words I use. Oh, this one causes your teeth to sparkle and whiten and be, great. All these visuals that kind of give you about this toothpaste, because it leaves you a good feeling. Oh, right, your teeth are sparkling, they're really healthy, they're really clean, fighting the plaque, whatever it may be. So it gets you kind of fixated on that, because the idea is, hey, they want you to choose Colgate as opposed to Trident. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, and I think I just take it back and realize I just was sitting there describing gum, not a toothpaste. So for everybody that probably already caught that already, my apologies. All right. Take just a second. If you guys notice, well, actually, no, not quite yet. We're going to go over this one next. Next thing. This one's kind of a different one. It's kind of out there. Maybe some of you guys are more familiar with than others. Maybe not so much. But we're going to go over it anyways. Next up is something called the argument from ignorance fallacy. And it's this idea that people think of something is true or something is correct because it has not yet been proven false. So what do I mean by this exactly? It's like somebody saying, oh, this drug, this new medicine is completely safe simply because nobody yet has developed negative side effects. So, I mean, that's a good thing. We haven't, nothing bad has happened yet, but we're basically making the conclusion that, hey, this is 100% awesome, this is 100% good, simply because nobody yet has had any negative side effects. Or if it's like saying, this person has never spoken, has never said anything negative about chocolate ice cream, therefore they must love vanilla ice cream. So it's kind of a goofy one, but at the same time, it's saying, oh, simply because we don't have this information, we're just going to assume this is the correct answer, which can lead you to incorrect, conclusions. Or if you think way back in the day, when people thought, you think back when they're think back to your history class when we talked about the Inquisition and people talking about, oh, she's a witch, there's a witch, this, that, and the other. Oh, well, I guess my headache must have been cured by this witchcraft because I can't explain it either way. It must have been a witch that did it. I have this terrible illness. Oh, so-and-so is a terrible person next door. That must be the reason for it. And so once again, it's drawing these conclusions based on, okay, I don't have a better answer, so I'm just going to use this answer in its place. Because, believe it or not, it's something that psychologists have studied for years and years. The human mind has a tendency to connect dots. We just have this need to be able to fill in all the pieces. We just can't stand this thought of something that's incomplete. We can't stand the thought of, okay, not knowing. It just kind of goes against, our natural thought processes. So even if we are completely ignorant about something at times, the first instinct isn't really to accept that. It's more to like, well, okay, it must be this. Well, it has to be this because I can't think of a better way. So just because you can't think of a better way doesn't mean there isn't a better way. So I'm going to step aside for just a second. So if you guys haven't got this copy down yet, go ahead and hit pause. There's a short YouTube clip to watch, and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so hopefully that kind of helped summarize the last point I made. So this last one, I actually believe you might have this in your notes already. If so, don't feel free to don't have to write it again, but we're still going to touch on it anyways. This idea of critical thinking. Thinking reflectively, productively, and evaluating the evidence. So the difference between just thinking and critical thinking. Thinking is just, okay, I'm coming up with ideas, this, that, and the other. Critical thinking is more like, okay, is my idea plausible? Is it possible? Is it realistic? And, based on what? Oh, it's a realistic idea because I have this piece of evidence, this piece of evidence, and this piece of evidence. It's not saying, oh, well, I think the moon is made out of cheese. Well, why? Well, I don't know. I just think it is because. Not really critical thinking. And so the whole point we're trying to get with this whole discussion on, like I said, I'm trying to think of a better way to put it than correct thinking or proper thinking or good ways to arrive at valid conclusions. So if we're gonna try to solve a problem, if we're gonna try to learn something, making sure we are coming to good conclusions and not conclusions that are just ideas or thoughts, or real news as opposed to fake news, if you want to go that way. And so down here, I have a small bullet point. This whole process requiring humility, because going back to this whole idea of I don't know, sometimes that is the answer. Believe it or not. Sometimes we just have to look ourselves in the mirror and says, you know what, I just flat out don't know. And I can't make a call or I can't make a decision because I simply don't have enough information. I don't know enough about it. Hey, I don't know enough about Shakespeare in order to have an intelligent conversation about it. And that's okay. I mean, if you want to, feel free to go out and learn some more, then come back to the conversation. But fully willing to admit that, hey, I don't know. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so, once again, obviously trying to strive to know as much as we can, but we don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm not going to pretend that I do. And then just this acceptance of, okay, if I think I have a solution, and then it turns out to be wrong, accepting that. Hey, you know what? I screwed up. Hey, I made a mistake. The conclusion, what I thought before is actually not correct, so I'm changing my mind. And that is perfectly okay. So, hopefully I haven't seemed like I'm lecturing too much despite the classroom format. But go ahead and pause the video one more time. There's one more clip down at the bottom, and then we'll wrap things up. All right, so that last clip, I want you to write and tell me in about 4 to 5 sentences how that last clip relates to what we discussed here in class today. Whether it be critical thinking, whether it be argument from ignorance fallacy, whether it be bias, whatever it may be, relate that video to either one, or if you can do 2, awesome, do 2 of the topics that we discussed today. In about 4 to 5 sentences. If you guys have any questions, shoot me a comment in the section below, or shoot me an email. If not, I'll see you guys next time.